All right. Hello, this is Tim Spand here. Kind of just going over this questionnaire and how my own views relate to organizational development, and kind of just some things that I learned in going through this questionnaire. I think first and foremost, I guess one of the more shocking things for me was that I agreed with a majority of the statements that were on the sheet. Um, I found that I believe most associates, most employees are willing to put forth effort or want to put forth effort to be a part of a team. Most people, I believe, learn from their experiences. Most managers want to work with their team members as effectively as possible. So I think inherently, kind of going back to the humanistic value of organizational development, I think inherently people have a desire to be a part of a team, and have that desire to perform well inherently. There were a couple statements on there. One I believe said something like people just generally dislike going to work. And I that's one of the ones that I disagreed with. I think if someone has a reason to not like to go to work, there's a causal factor behind that, but I don't think innately people just hate, their jobs or hate their situations. I think people go into situations hopeful that they will work and turn out well. So, like I said, I agreed. I felt that I agreed or I was neutral with a lot of the statements that were presented on the sheet. Going to the listed values, I chose one value from each category that I really felt I strongly resonated with. So the fundamental values, life and the quest for happiness, people respecting, appreciating, loving the experience of their own, while engaging in the pursuit of happiness, conceived as a declaration of independence, namely a whole life well lived. I agree with that. I think everyone ultimately, is interested in being happy and being fulfilled and being satisfied. I can't think of one person whose intent is to be unhappy. One healthy person who that's their intent. So most people, like I said, they go into things with hope and with a positive attitude until something comes along to change that mentality. Of the personal slash interpersonal values, I identified with the human potential and empowerment, people being healthy and aware of their potential, realizing power to bring that potential into being, growing into and living it, generally do the best they can individually and collectively. So, again, I think if the environment is set up correctly, your employees, if you set up teamwork, your employees aren't going to just, be at each other's throats initially. Um, Everyone wants to do their best to get along well, do their jobs well and effectively. Like the quote said, both individually and as a team. And so, if those things, teamwork is set up correctly, I think it can be really productive. It just has to be facilitated in a way that allows it to be productive. Finally, the system's values. I chose widespread, meaningful participation in system affairs, democracy, appropriate decision making. People participate fully in decisions that affect their lives. I've said this in a couple of my forum posts to my classmates. No one likes having decisions shoved down their throats. No one likes decisions being made for them. And so when you go and you make a decision and you feel you have a voice in something, people tend to be a lot more invested in that. I know if at my job, if I'm given a voice and I give my opinion on something, I'm going to work towards that to illustrate what I was saying. And also, I'm going to work harder because I feel like I'm valued. My opinion matters. People care what I think or what I say. So people, things that they can invest in, they tend to put more effort towards that. Um, as far as my faith goes, I think that uh, teamwork is also emphasized in the Bible. You can think of the church as an organization, and the example of the body of Christ and all the many different parts that need to work together to function effectively. I think that right there is in support of effective teams and teamwork. Even in the body of Christ, we need to rely on one another because we have different strengths and weaknesses and talents. But ultimately, we need to come together and move and function as one, well-oiled machine. And if we can do that, we can be really effective and break ground more than any one of us can do individually. So there is a real power in teamwork. It just has to, as I said, be facilitated in a way that it can be productive. I think personally, I need to work on teamwork myself. I think great things can come from teams. I think teams are stress relievers because you don't have to do everything on your own. But oftentimes you run into situations with teams where there's conflict, where one person kind of banks on other people, carrying them. So I think for myself, I would just like to learn to be more trusting of other people, more trusting of associates, classmates, and things, and working in teams. And that way I can do my part and count on other people to do their part, and not have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. And like I said, as a team, you can get so much more done because you have so many more people working on the same thing. For example, if you're writing a research paper or doing a project, the amount of things that I can focus on is pales in comparison to the amount of things 5 people can focus on if we're all working together towards the same goal equally. So I think there is a real positive benefit in teams. That's it for this week. Thank you.